So have you ever stopped to think that maybe everything you are, everything you feel, everything you choose, even your most intimate and seemingly free decisions, might be shaped by something invisible, something so deep within you that you don't even realize it's there? Imagine for a moment that your mind is like a computer, a complex operating system, filled with ancient codes, some written in childhood, others silently etched over the course of your life. You think you're in control of this system, but what if you're just running pre-installed programs? Programs that weren't necessarily created by you but dictate every reaction, every emotion, every path you take without you even noticing. Now take a deep breath with me. Close your eyes for a second and just listen to this. Do you really believe you're in control? Or are you merely repeating patterns, acting out scripts recorded so long ago that they've become part of yourself? Let's embark on this journey together, because today I want to invite you to a different kind of conversation, one that goes beyond the obvious, diving into the shadows of the subconscious mind and revealing how it constructs the reality you live in. I'll guide you through paths where philosophy, psychology, spirituality, and human behavior intertwine like threads of a single cosmic web. And as we walk these paths, I'll ask you questions that might change the way you see yourself. So come with me. Let's unravel together the hidden code programming your reality. You've probably heard that ancient saying, as above, so below. It's one of the 7 Hermetic laws, an ancestral principle suggesting that the external reality is merely a mirror of what lies within us. What if I told you that everything you see around you, the choices you make, the relationships you maintain, the challenges you face, aren't mere coincidences, but reflections of something much deeper, something that dwells silently within your subconscious, setting the rules of the game without you noticing? Let's go back in time for a bit. Remember that childhood feeling when the world seemed infinite and every day was a discovery? You didn't have so many certainties, so many mental limits, so many I can'ts or I'm not capables. But as the years passed, something changed. You absorbed messages. You learned what was right and wrong, what was possible and impossible, what was valuable and insignificant. Phrases like, that won't work, you have to be realistic, stability is what matters were imprinted in your mind, creating layer upon layer of conditioning. And this didn't just happen to me, it happened to you too. All this unconscious programming began with the first smile you received, the first punishment you endured, the first time someone said, you won't make it. And those experiences, though small, left emotional scars. They formed invisible patterns that shaped who you are today, patterns that dictate how you handle fear, love, lack, success, and even how you view who you could become. Now think about this. How many times have you made a decision thinking it was yours, but deep down you were repeating something learned long ago? How many times have you shied away from an opportunity because of that sinking feeling in your stomach without fully understanding why? How many times have you caught yourself saying words you heard from others, almost like a mechanical echo? This is what I want you to see. The subconscious mind acts like an autopilot. It filters everything that comes in and out of your life, based on old beliefs, often outdated, yet still powerful. And here's a question for you. What truly drives your choices? A genuine desire to be happy, or the fear of making mistakes, suffering, losing something? Because often, our decisions are driven by hidden fear, not manifest love. Fear of failure, of being judged, of being alone, of stepping out of the comfort zone. And this fear, fueled by the subconscious, creates entire realities. It attracts situations that confirm what you already believe, that you're not enough, that the world is tough, that things never work out for you. But hold on. What if I told you that all this can change, that you don't have to keep living within an operating system full of emotional viruses and obsolete programs, that it's possible to reprogram your subconscious mind, not with superficial techniques or magic formulas, but with a true journey of self-discovery and inner transformation? In Greek mythology, Hades ruled the underworld, a dark, hidden realm where souls wandered aimlessly. Many see the subconscious as this modern Hades, a place where we store traumas, fears, limiting beliefs, repressed feelings. But just as Persephone descended into the underworld and returned, bringing with her the cycle of seasons, we too can dive into these depths and emerge transformed. We don't need to fear the dark. We need to know it, understand it, to then illuminate it. This reminds me of the story of Osiris in ancient Egypt. He was betrayed, dismembered, and thrown into the Nile by his brother Set. But Isis, his wife, gathered his pieces and reconstructed him, and though he returned to life, he could no longer remain among the living. He stayed in the underworld, becoming the judge of the dead. This is a beautiful metaphor for our inner process. Sometimes we need to die to old patterns, dismantle parts of ourselves that no longer serve, and allow another part to rebuild us. And even if we can't return exactly as we were before, we can take on a new role, perhaps as judges of our own soul, deciding what to carry forward and what to leave behind. So how do we do this? How do we access this inner underworld and start reprogramming what seems so fixed? First, we need to learn to observe without judgment. Start noticing the automatic patterns, how you react to criticism, how you handle frustrations, how you interpret the world. Every reaction is a clue. Every emotion is a map. And the more you observe, the more you begin to see the invisible threads guiding you. A classic example is the person who always ends up with partners who hurt them. At first, they blame others. Then, they start to wonder, is there something in me attracting this? And in a moment of truth, they realize, maybe they were taught early on that love equals suffering. Maybe they learned they deserve to be treated this way. And that, my friend, is a subconscious program. A code recorded long ago, running in the background, generating repetitive outcomes. The psychologist Carl Jung called this the shadow, those parts of ourselves we deny, repress, and that end up manifesting indirectly. If we don't face our shadow, it controls us. If we don't give voice to our fears, they speak for us. And that's exactly what happens to so many of us. We carry unhealed emotional wounds, distorted beliefs, and keep living as if we need to prove something to the world, as if we're still trying to earn the love we felt lacking. But now, imagine with me, what if you could stop chasing external validation? What if you could simply exist, accept yourself, and create from what's truly yours? That would be freedom. A freedom that comes from within, not from without. And that freedom begins with awareness. And here is another question. What would you do differently if you knew that most of what you feel isn't real, but rather a mental construct? If you understood that your reality is a projection of what you believe is possible? Let me tell you something. The world isn't what it is. The world is what you see. And how you see is how you've been programmed to see. Remember the story of Shiva and Vishnu in Hinduism? Shiva represents destruction and transformation, while Vishnu is the preserver, the maintainer. Within us, there is this same duality, the need to hold on to what we know, and the urge to destroy what no longer serves. And it's in this tension that change happens. It's not easy, it's painful to dismantle what's been built for so long, but it's necessary. Because only after destruction comes something new. Only after chaos does renewed order arise. And this is where spirituality comes in. Not as an escape from the world, but as a dive into it. Spirituality is the art of looking within and finding connection with something greater, whether with the universe, nature, or your own heart. It's understanding that you're not just a physical body, but a vibrant consciousness, capable of creating, transmuting, and elevating. Many think personal development is just technique. They learn visualization methods, positive affirmations, guided meditation, and expect instant results. But without inner work, without confronting the shadows, without reclaiming the lost parts, it all becomes mere makeup. It looks good on the outside, but inside the pain lingers, the fear persists, the insecurity throbs. So I'm going to invite you to a simple exercise now. Close your eyes for a few seconds, take a deep breath and ask yourself, what's the deepest belief limiting my life today? What's the pattern I keep repeating that I'd like to release? And most importantly, where did this belief come from? Who planted it in me? And why? This is the key. Finding the origin, identifying the program, naming what was previously invisible. Because when we name something, we start to have power over it. When we shine a light on a shadow, it loses its strength. And that's how we begin to reprogram the subconscious mind. Not with violence, but with gentleness. Not with resistance, but with acceptance. Not with haste, but with patience. Let's continue this journey. You're already starting to feel the weight of these words, aren't you? As if each sentence touches a part of you that hasn't or been heard in a long time. It's as if something inside you is waking up, remembering, recognizing. And do you know why? Because you were programmed to forget. Not just by external messages, from society, family, culture, but also by an internal program as old as your earliest memory. A program that tells you, you need to be better, do more, prove your worth. And that program, my friend, is so powerful that it often defines who you believe you are. In Norse mythology, there was Yggdrasil, the cosmic tree connecting all realms. Its roots plunged into the underworld, its trunk pierced the human world, and its branches reached the heavens of the gods. This symbolic image shows us something profound. Everything is connected, the visible and the invisible, the conscious and the subconscious, reality and illusion. And just like Yggdrasil, you too are a tree whose roots are filled with ancient stories. Stories you may not even remember, but that continue to nourish your leaves today. Now answer me this. How many times in your life have you tried to change something about yourself and failed? How many times have you said, this time it'll be different, only to find yourself months later exactly where you started? Weight, relationships, career, self-esteem. It seems that no matter how much you want to change, something inside you stalls. Something resistant, almost stubborn, that insists on keeping you trapped in the same cycle. This happens because the subconscious mind has a job to protect you. It doesn't care about personal growth, spiritual evolution, or fulfilling dreams. Its sole purpose is to keep you safe, repeating familiar patterns, even if they cause pain. Because to it, the known is safer than the unknown. Even if the known is suffering, at least it's predictable. It is like that old saying, better the devil you know than the angel you done tea. Your subconscious mind prefers this. It chooses safety over freedom, repetition over transformation, and that's why so many of us get stuck in vicious cycles, because we refighting an invisible force that thinks it is protecting us. But here's the great mystery. If the subconscious mind acts to protect us, why does it keep us in situations that clearly harm us? This is the question that echoes from ancient times, from the first sages who looked within and saw that the true battle isn't out there but in here. Plato spoke of the cave, how we live chained to shadows projected on the walls, thinking they're reality. Buddha taught about the illusion of the self, how our identity is just a mental construct that imprisons us. Jesus said, "You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." They all pointed to the same thing. The greatest enemy isn't the other. It's what's within. So let's return to that question. Why does the subconscious mind keep us in painful patterns? The answer is simple and profoundly complex. Simple because the subconscious mind doesn't understand morality. It doesn't know right from wrong, good from bad. It just records. It records what was experienced with intense emotion. And when something was imprinted with strong emotional charge, especially in childhood, it becomes a fixed program, a code that repeats until someone decides to reprogram it. An example is the child who, at 5 years old, hears from their mother, "Don't trust anyone. In the end, everyone will let you down." That phrase, spoken in a moment of pain or frustration, can become that person's main program for life. And even if they desire to love, to build healthy relationships, to create deep connections, unconsciously they'll sabotage everything. They'll find reasons to doubt, to run, to close themselves off, because that was programmed before they could think for themselves. It was imprinted when they were vulnerable, sensitive, open. And now, decades later, it continues running like a silent virus. This reminds me of the story of Rama in the Ramayana. He was a divine prince, sent to the forest to fulfill a vow. There he faced challenges, endured trials, met allies and enemies, but every step he took was guided by the remembrance of who he truly was. And even in the darkness, he never lost focus on his essence. We too need this remembrance. We need to remember who we are beyond the programs, the masks, the acquired identities. We need to remember that we're not just the product of our past experiences. We're conscious beings, capable of choosing, changing, transcending. And here is another question for you. What would you do differently if you knew that most of what you feel isn't real, but rather an illusion created by ancient mental programs? Imagine this. Imagine if you could stop fighting yourself, stop judging your emotions, your reactions, your fears. Instead, start listening to them. Start understanding that every emotion is a message, every reaction is a reflection, every fear is a teacher. That's what it means to take control. Not to control, but to take ownership, to take responsibility, not guilt, but awareness. To recognize that you're not a victim of fate, but a co-author of reality. That circumstances may have shaped you, but they don't define who you are. And this is where true transformation begins, when you stop seeking external solutions and start looking within. When you realize you don't need to change the world out there, you need to change how you see the world and how you see changes. You know what's beautiful about all this? You already have everything you need within you, all the wisdom, all the strength, all the light. You just need to remember. You just need to awaken. And that's what I'm inviting you to do now. Close your eyes once more, take a deep breath and listen closely. You don't need to be saved. You just need to remember who you are. And when you do, when you truly remember, nothing will be the same again. Have you noticed how some truths seem too simple until you live them? Like that phrase, know thyself, so often repeated, yet so deeply forgotten. It sounds almost cliché today, printed on t-shirts, profile quotes, superficial mantras, but in truth it's humanity's oldest call. It's the invitation to dive into the dark waters of the subconscious and emerge with something new, a true identity, an awakened self. And perhaps that's the greatest irony of it all. The more we try to change, control, force results, the more we sink into the old program. But when we stop, when we allow ourselves to look without judgment, listen without resistance, feel without running, then something shifts. Not by force, but by surrender. Not by effort, but by presence. Now think about this. If everything you feel, think, and do is a projection of what's within, what would happen if you cleaned the mirror? What would happen if you dissolved old beliefs, healed emotional wounds, released rooted fears? Your reality would change automatically, because the world out there is nothing but a reflection of what you carry inside. It's as if you've been wearing dirty glasses for years. Everything looks foggy, distorted, confusing, and you spend time trying to fix what you see, correcting people, adjusting circumstances, seeking external solutions. But what if the problem isn't out there but in your own eyes? This is the great secret few want to hear. Real transformation begins with inner cleansing, not with chasing magic formulas or accumulating useless knowledge. It begins with the courage to face what hurts, with brutal honesty with yourself, with the conscious decision to stop feeding programs that no longer serve. In the Taoist tradition, there's the concept of Wu Wei, action without effort. The idea that sometimes the best way to change is to simply let it flow, let go, let be. And this may sound paradoxical because we're used to believing we need to fight, battle, conquer. But true power doesn't lie in struggle, it lies in conscious surrender. In the deep acceptance that everything is interconnected, and real change is born from stillness, not constant motion. And that's why so many people fail in their attempts at personal transformation. They're trying to change without first understanding. They're patching torn clothes, not realizing the entire seam needs to be redone. They're planting seeds in barren soil, expecting vibrant flowers. But now I'm going to ask you one final question, and I want you to carry it with you long after this video ends. If you could erase all limiting beliefs, all unresolved traumas, all social masks, who would you truly be? Not who you think you should be, not who others expect you to be, but who you are truly without disguises, without justifications, without defenses. Maybe that's the only question that matters, because it's at this point that personal development meets spirituality, where psychology touches philosophy, where the science of human behavior merges with the art of living with purpose. And it's here that everything converges. In silence, in observation, in the conscious choice to live differently. You don't need more techniques. You don't need more books, more courses, more self-help lists. You need courage. Courage to look within, to recognize the patterns, to take responsibility for your own life, and above all, to remember that you were never separate from what you were searching for. Because true freedom isn't in having more, it's in being more, in living aligned with your essence, in allowing yourself to exist without justifications. And if you've made it this far, watching every word, feeling each sentence touch something within you, know that it wasn't a coincidence, it was a choice, it was an invitation, it was a call. And now I'm inviting you to take one more step in this journey. If you felt this content stirred something in you, brought something new to light, illuminated a dark corner of your mind, then write the word light in the comments. It's not just an automatic response, it's a commitment, a reminder that you've decided to see more clearly, that you've decided to stop living in the shadow of unconscious programming and start creating from true awareness. Give a like too if this resonated with you. Subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, because this conversation isn't ending here. There's much more to come. Thank you for being here, for listening, for reflecting, for existing. Until the next journey.